The year was 1925. The night was cold and damp, the air biting at the two men's noses as they walked towards the only light in the distance, each of them holding a wooden box in their hands. Johnny Hargrove, the older brother, was a wiry-built, dark-complexioned man, 1/8 Cherokee, and was 25 years old. He stood 5 foot 9 inches tall, had buzz-cut hair, and a very close-shaven mustache and goatee combo. Stetson Hargrove, the younger of the two brothers, stood 5 foot 10 inches tall, had a clean-shaven face, had only a slight dark complexion, and a toned athletic build. His hair was hidden under a burgundy, long-billed fedora, and he wore a long, heavy, dark blue topcoat that hid the clothes beneath. Stetson and Johnny had grown up the sons of a hard-working father who had a great job at the time in the oil industry until around the time that the Depression hit and he was laid off. Seeking help from the government and finding none, Rocky devised a scheme with his two sons, Stetson and Johnny. Make and sell beer, moonshine, and whiskey. And tonight, his two sons were carrying out a delivery for their father, delivering whiskey to a local business owner. Stetson's breath turned to smoke as they approached the door of the old shack, and he reached out and knocked, stepping back afterwards and waiting. "You alright?" asked Johnny. Stetson nodded, shaking from the cold as he spoke. "Yeah, just... the wind. If it wasn't for the wind, I'd be fine." Johnny nodded. "Yeah, don't worry, we'll be back home soon." "Why didn't he come into the door?" asked Stetson. "Knock again," said Johnny. But before Stetson could knock again, 5 men stepped out from the shadows from around the shack, shotguns in their hands.
"That's it, boys. Drop the boxes. Step back away from them. Put your hands in the air,"
said the tall bearded man. "Revenuers," said Johnny under his breath.
Yeah, I can see the badges,"
said Stetson under his. Johnny nodded. "Just do as I say," and before Johnny could finish, Stetson threw his box to the nearest agent and dropped to one knee.
"Stetson, no!" But it was too late to stop now. Stetson crossed his arms and reached under his coat before rapidly drawing 2 cold M1911 pistols and firing 3 shots into the revenue agent that he just assaulted with one. And then he spun around with the other and fired a single shot through the skull of another revenue agent that was positioned about 5 yards from him on his right. Johnny kept his hands high above his head until he saw one of the agents step forward, level his shotgun at Stetson. Then Johnny leaped onto the man, tackling him to the ground, driving his long-bladed knife in and out of the man's back several times. "Stop or I'll shoot," said an old Irish man with short red hair and leathery skin. But before he could shoulder his weapon, Stetson swung his right arm around and fired 2 shots into the man's stomach. "Next time you'll do it instead of talking about it," said the young, clean-shaven 22-year-old man. "Stetson!" Johnny shouted as he pointed towards the last revenue agent. Stetson watched as the man tried to run away, squinted through the blinding snow, aiming his 2 pistols, and then emptied them into the revenue agent's back. Within seconds afterwards, Johnny stood, shaking his head as he looked around at the 5 dead agents, while Stetson searched the bodies, taking the revenue agent's money. "You hot-headed, simple-minded son of a..." "Shut up," Stetson said as he shoved blood-stained money into one of his inner jacket pockets. Stetson smiled, his teeth almost shimmering in the light of the shack as he stood there, half in the light and half in the shadows. $83. $83. We made even more than what we would have if we would have sold that stuff.